We have a chocolate bar in the UK called Cadbury Flake. And for those of you who are not familiar with this particular chocolate bar, it's very crumbly, very delicious, but also very divisive because a lot of people argue it's not really a chocolate bar because it is so crumbly. But the reason I give the analogy of this particular chocolate bar is because a flake is also an adjective to describe a person whose behavior is a little bit indecisive. People say yes and then they say no. They don't really know what they're doing. And all in all, it's a form of behavior that I see quite a lot here in South Italy. To be a flake is something that I think is a bit of a shame because if you're flaky in your behavior and you're not able to make a decision or to really commit to anything in your life, I really do believe that you miss out on so much. Now, this manifests in many different forms here in Italy. You have people who are flaky when it comes to social commitments. So maybe they say yes and then they cancel at the last minute on a regular basis. And in those particular situations, it's almost as if people are holding out for something better, the next bright, shiny object that they can do instead of accepting the initial invitation. And then you have people who are flakes simply because they are scared. I really do think fear plays a part in people's indecision in life. People are afraid to be decisive and to make a decision and commit to it. People prefer sometimes to sit on the fence or to really kind of take their time to evaluate the things that they're doing before they actually commit to it. Now, of course, to be methodical and to take your time is a huge bonus and benefit in life, but it shouldn't be the reason that you never make a commitment and do what it is that you say you want to do. Now, I am one of those people who actually does what I say I'm going to do. It's not always easy. I often learn many painful lessons along the way. But essentially, when I say I'm doing something, you best believe I'm going to do it. I can't promise it will be instantaneous, but I will definitely do what I say I'm going to do. And that has been evident throughout my entire life. And it's something that I never want to change because I really do believe that if you're flaky, you make little to no progress in life. Progress comes from making a decision and sticking to it. You can adapt, you can pivot, you can learn and grow, but essentially you have to take that first step. You have to take some action in order to make any kind of progress in your life. And so many people don't take action. So many people stay stuck in indecision. And why is this? And why do I see this so much here in South Italy? I think I see it a lot here in South Italy because people tend to blame external situations and circumstances as to why they're not able to do the things that they want to do in life. The amount of times I hear people blaming the government, the economy, the job situation, etc., etc., etc. I'd probably be a millionaire if I took like €1 from every person who has ever given that excuse to me over the course of 6 years. But let me tell you something. Those factors don't necessarily make it easy, but they do not make it impossible. What makes it impossible is the person who doesn't take any action, the person who allows those situations to limit them and stop them from doing the thing that they want to do. That's what makes it impossible. When you are flaky, I really do believe that you just don't really know what you want in your life. I think if you look at some of the most successful people that you probably look up to and admire, at some point in their life, they were in a period of indecision, but then they took action and they made a commitment, even if they didn't know all of the answers. And lo and behold, they found their way, however long it may have taken them. And this is the really interesting thing about flaky behavior. I think too many people use it as an excuse. Too many people fall back on this kind of behavior as almost a comfort blanket to protect them from actually being brave and making a decision. Now, failure is given this hugely negative kind of term in English. Like when people talk about failure, it's the kind of thing you want to avoid. This is how it's often portrayed. But actually, in failure, there are so many lessons, and you're more than likely going to find your success on the back of failure than you will simply from luck alone. And that is something that you need to do. You need to reframe your life. You need to reframe those situations that are difficult and try to make them work to your advantage. What do I think about kind of flaky people here in general? I think that if you're flaky, you kind of lose the respect of people after a while. In life, you have to have conviction. You have to be able to say, I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z. Not, I'm going to sit on the fence and maybe one day I'll say yes and one day I'll say no, or I'll say yes right up until the last minute and then say no. You will very quickly lose the respect of people if that is how you behave in life, because people hate to be let down, especially if you're organizing something or you're involved in some kind of work project and somebody lets you down at the last minute. That's not cool. And essentially, people will eventually lose their patience with you and either stop asking you for opportunities or just really not bother with you in that way at all again. And that's when you cut yourself off. Because even if you say yes to something that you're not really 100% sure on, but you can see that there is potential in that situation, or you can see there could be some kind of benefit from saying yes, you never know where that yes is going to take you. And this is the thing. I'm not saying to say yes to situations when you don't want to. That's a whole other subject. If you don't want to do something, I never believe that you should. But if there is a part of you that can see something, some potential in a situation, but you're allowing kind of indecision to stop you from committing, those are the moments where you need to commit. And those are the moments where you need to say, okay, I'm going for it. Even if I don't have all the answers, I will figure it out along the way. Because I promise you, the majority of successful people in life have followed that exact same pattern of behavior. So, what do I suggest that you do if you are dealing with a flaky person at the moment, or if indeed you yourself are a little bit of a flake at times? I think it is about recognizing where this behavior stems from. As I've mentioned before, I think a lot of it stems from fear. A lot of people are afraid of failure. People are afraid of making the wrong decision in life. And a lot of it stems from the fact that people are constantly chasing the next bright, shiny object. Some people hold out for things because they think something better is going to come along, in which case they still have a lot of lessons to learn about life, in that the next thing that comes along isn't necessarily the next best thing. And if you yourself are a little bit of a flake, I think you have to be honest with yourself and look at your life. How much progress have you made? What are some things that you really want to do? And have you actually taken any steps towards doing them? Or have you spent too long turning down opportunities because you don't think you're good enough or because of external circumstances that you cannot control? The number one thing I see people do here in South Italy, especially, is blame external circumstances for not leading the life that they want to live. Oh, it's because of the government, the economy, the unemployment issues. There's always a reason as to why people aren't living the life that they want. There's no denying it. There are struggles here, of course. Like, I'm very real on my YouTube channel about how difficult life can be here for people. However, I do see a lot of success here. I do see people here with money. I do see people making a go of themselves, and they're not corrupt and they're not linked to mafia. They are people who have genuinely decided to do something different in their lives and make a go of it. And I do think that, you can easily buy into the story of lack and buy into the story that, there's nothing for you in this part of Italy. Or you can do something about it and decide that you're going to create a new story for yourself. We are the authors of our lives. We are not dependent on external circumstances unless we allow ourselves to become dependent on them. And so that is what I would say to you. If you feel that sometimes your behavior can be a bit flaky, you need to look at yourself, take a long, hard look at yourself, because it's never easy to do this kind of reflection, and look at the things that you want to achieve and decide, have you given your power away? Have you been scared? Have you, been unsure about a decision because you don't know where it's going to take you? Be honest with yourself, because it's through being honest with yourself that you can really start to change things, and you can start saying yes to opportunities instead of no, and really start to see some significant kind of upgrade and momentum in your life. So I think being a flake is inevitable. We, at some point in our lives, will probably exhibit flaky behavior. I must admit, probably in the past, I might have been a bit of a flake at times, but I think, I've definitely developed more of a mindset of when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I've maintained that a lot more now through my adult life. But I think, we're all going to come across people at some point as well who also exhibit flaky behavior. And I think it is just about recognizing it for what it is. It's essentially fear. It's essentially people who are not sure what they want to do with their lives. And essentially, they hold out thinking something better is going to come along. And when you tend to look at it like that with compassion and empathy, I think that you can not let those people impact you personally and make it mean that it's something personal. But also, I think you can distance yourself in the most appropriate ways and also kind of not let those people also hinder your dreams and goals at the same time. I will see you in the next episode.